Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the White Coat Ceremony for Cohort 32. This is the part you say, woo! My name is Dr. Fred Brown, and I'm the Program Director for the Journalist Education. I'm also will be serving as your Master of Ceremony for today. So before I begin, I would like to share a moment of thanks to our Technology Administrative MSN team who make these events possible. I would also like to thank Dr. Reed for your leadership, as this is her last White Coat Ceremony, and also for us to welcome Dr. Lynn Richter, who will begin her work as Dr. Reed transitions at the end of her term. And then lastly, I would like to thank our amazing faculty pinners, which we'll be talking to shortly. So when I consider my nursing career started about 33 years ago, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. All I knew is that I wanted to make a difference. I can only imagine your excitement today as you look forward into the future. I chose my career in healthcare. You guys mind if I take this off? I'm running out of air over here. I chose my career in healthcare after my experience in the Air Force Reserve as a medical technician. Our call to nursing may be a little different, but mine was positive experience based on my military life that moved me from my engineering program, specifically here to Rush's nursing program. Today symbolizes our entry into nursing as you will recite the oath of dedication to the profession. This ceremony is our opportunity for your faculty and college community to officially welcome you into the profession of nursing, for you to publicly acknowledge that you have chosen to become a nurse. Nursing is a profession which is an expected set of skills, a defined bank of knowledge, a personal and professional code of ethics, and expected behaviors that set us apart from any other profession. For over 20 years, nurses have been noted to be the most trusted profession in the world. We only came in second place, which was back in the year 2001, when the firefighters helped us with the 9/11 attacks. Before we leave today, you'll publicly declare your readiness to enter nursing by stating an oath that is a dedication to the profession. In 2013, the Arnold P. Gold Foundation began supporting White Coat ceremonies for nursing in partnership with the American Association of College of Nurses. They extended grants to 100 different nursing schools in the first year. In 2014, we began White Coat ceremonies as a formal welcome into nursing profession. The ceremonies consist of the recitation of an oath and a short address by a nursing role model. I smile because our initial presenter is not doing well today, so I'm actually a professional role model today. You'll be given a specially designed pin that serves as a visual reminder of your oath and commitment to providing high quality care. Please wear your pins proudly. Today, as I mentioned a moment ago, you would have heard from Dr. Stephanie Yohannan. She's taken ill, so she would not be able to join us. So I put together a presentation and share my journey into nursing. Is that okay with you guys? All right. So I believe everyone has a screen and it looks like it's already going. So I know. It's a good thing I don't have any kids because he might look just like that. So I just wanted to share my journey. In 1984, it was my goal to actually complete high school and enlist in the United States Air Force active duty. My plan was to join at 17 years old, serve 20 years, learn a few things, come out and have a successful civilian career once I retired. My dad wouldn't sign for me at 17 years old, so instead, I went to the University of Illinois down the street for my first 2 years, and then I later joined the Air Force Reserves at 19. By then I was a sophomore, I was in an engineering program, so I joined the Air Force Reserves as an Airman First Class. And back then, those 2 little stripes, I thought it was like a star on my shoulder, but it was actually just 2 stripes. There I learned my clinical and leadership lessons and continued to promote within the ranks. After not having a successful engineer career, I changed my major into nursing. So in 1987, I completed my prerequisites and applied to Rush University's nursing program. While I have shared my nursing stories many times, I've not shared my military story and how my life began as a serviceman. See, in 1989, I graduated from nursing school here at Rush and became eligible for a commission in the nursing corps of the Air Force Reserves. 6 years later, after I started my military career, I became a second lieutenant in United States Air Force Reserve. During my time in the Air Force, I had an affinity for leadership. I had an opportunity to serve as a clinical lead, a training officer, and a manpower officer. I was responsible for training and getting people ready for war and made sure we had the right people in the right spot for wartime positions. Most of the time was spent in military administration. There was one time when I was in a clinical position, and it was 1991, Desert Shield, Desert Storm. My military unit was split in half and we traveled to Saudi Arabia and the other half went to Spain. Guess which team I was on? I was in Saudi Arabia. It was one of the scariest times of my life, but the lessons I learned, I find a way to share every day of my life. And not only do I share my lessons with myself, but I actually share with every student that I meet. The truth was, I wasn't really ready to go to war. I did not have all the skills that were required as an effective bedside nurse. My job in the Air Force was a bedside nurse. Instead, I learned all the amazing skills that I needed to learn as a sergeant, and I was also a good operating room nurse because that was the role that I took as a civilian. But when I went to the war, I was required to be a bedside nurse. I struggled, just like you will, and I had to learn my role in a new area. I had some core skills, but they were not enough for the challenges faced while I was at war. I had to do something different. I had to do something fast, and that's what I want to share with you guys today. So what I did is I found an Air Force captain, my preceptor, and I told him what I needed to learn. We started one patient at a time, just like you will. We started with performing assessments, IVs. We refreshed on a ton of basic nursing skills. We changed burn dressings. I worked at it, I worked at it, I worked at it. We covered ventilators. We talked about ballistic injuries. We talked about all the different type of wartime injuries that you can imagine. 4.5 months later, it was time for us to go. But before I left, I worked my way up to be the charge nurse for our ICU tent. I learned the lessons that I needed to keep our brave soldiers safe and alive. These months felt like a lifetime. The lessons I learned changed me for the rest of my life. I'm not only talking about basic nursing skills, but my readiness and commitment to patient care. Every clinical group that I've had, I've shared this story. I've simply stated, don't put on the uniform if you're not willing to do the work. Your patients deserve a competent nurse. For me back then, it was a military uniform, but for you today, it's your scrubs. You too will need to do the same. You will need to find someone that's willing to help you. You will be in a new area, and it may be hostile. It would be very stressful for you for sure. You'll need to work every day to improve, not only your clinical skills, your communication skills, pharmacology, transitions in care, quality, safety, education, and leadership. These all sound like the core skills for our CNL program. Fast forward 12 years, the Air Force began to close many military bases just to reduce costs. Every veteran that I met, they all said the same thing. I wish I would have stayed in for 20 years. I was 12 years into the Air Force and I decided to sign up for the Navy Reserves. I continued my career another 10 years. For some strange reason, I tried to get into clinical work, but I found myself as an administrator in the Navy Reserves as well. I served again as a training officer and also a manpower officer, getting people ready to go to war. The nice part about those roles were I was able to grow and do the things that I love, which was teaching. Finally, in 2005, our dean here at Rush University wanted all of our full-time faculty to be doctorally prepared. I didn't feel like I can be the best student I can be and also the best naval officer. So I requested permission to retire after 22 years of service. It remains the hardest decision I ever made in my life. And it chokes me up every single time I say that statement. It was an honor to wear the uniform for as long as I did, and in June of 2006, I became Dr. Fred Brown and retired as a lieutenant commander. Nursing care is about patient care. In the hospital or on the battlefield, as a civilian or a nurse corps officer, the lessons that I want to share is to become a lifelong learner. I'm a rush grad, but I still need a lot of help along the way. Respect your faculty and your preceptors. The lessons that they'll teach you will help save a life someday. Lastly, be kind to your patients. My promise to my military patients were, if you were brave enough to run toward bullets that were being fired towards you, I will be there for you when you need me, and I will be there and I will be ready. Before I conclude, if time permits, I have a few photos that I wanted to share. You guys good to go? All right, let's take a peek. What was happening to Lieutenant Commander Brown after he grew his first beard? So most of my summers are spent, usually in 2 weeks, they're spent in a place called Fleet Hospital Operation Training Command. We called it FOTC. And anytime you heard that you were going to FOTC for the summer, it usually came with a moan. But basically, FOTC was basically getting us ready to go to war. And some people took it quite seriously, and then other folks didn't. But if you had an opportunity to go to war and recognize how important it is for those skills, you took that training very seriously. And that was one of the things I did do. One of the honors that I had was that I was a training officer for our command for many years. And I was responsible for over 1,500 people, 26 detachments. And this was one of the summers that we spent out in the field. This is me, this little guy in the front, just with a mustache. I was out there posing with the command of the Fleet Hospital, and we called it Camp Elsewhere. And we were actually in Camp Pendleton. It always seemed like every one of my summers, I was out in the middle of the desert. At least it was with the Air Force. At least it was with the Navy, I should say. And then down in the other corner, you'll see that there was myself as we were getting ready to go out to meet the rest of the troops. And as you can see, diversity was still a problem. This was way, way back in the day. So as I look into this crowd, it's great to see that we have so much diversity, but in the military, we still struggle with that as well. This was us lining up in the morning. We line up in our ranks, those folks in the beginning. Those are the ones that take command, and they get a salute and they say, carry out the plan of the day. So then those go to the smaller groups, and then we do just that. The hard part about the military is every time wherever you go, you usually have to build the place where you sleep. So this top picture is a bunch of our teammates putting together a tent. This lower corner picture here is what our tent city looked like when everything was assembled. And our goal was to build a 500-bed facility, including x-ray and an operating room so that we can take care of people in the field. The upper corner is an example of leadership where that gentleman was teaching us or reminding us how to put tents together. We did it summer after summer after summer. And then we did it the following summer, and then one more summer. So year after year, we practice our skills so that we can do this in the dark, in the sleep, in the event that we needed to go to war. And those little instructions in gray, that's all we had. So these were the instructions on how to build that tent city. And we loved those instructions every single time we went out into the field. This here looks familiar to you guys. The only difference is they're wearing their BDUs, as we call them, instead of scrubs. So these leaders here are getting report, sharing report. There's a nurse over there coming up with a plan. That was our bed board in the lower, my left. And then this is more collaboration of different leaders. And this was actually folks talking about patient movement. What's one of the most important ways to prevent infection? Hand washing. Can you imagine? I'm a germaphobe, so I had to turn it off every single time I went into the field. But my challenge was how do I tilt that thing without touching it and then washing my hands at the same time? So that's where my yoga classes came into play. So again, even in the wildest and the furthest places that you can go, it is still our responsibility to keep our patients safe. Patient transport, our ambulance came. We were taught how to move people on these litter stretchers. We moved them off our 4-bay ambulances and also buses that we were moving our patients from. This here is some of our corpsmen moving people off of another ambulance. We had to ensure that we were able to safely put people onto those stretchers, and they are incredibly tricky. And down here in that lower right-hand corner is a bus, and we filled that bus with people 2 stacks high as far as moving people out of a critical area. In my Air Force life, my primary role was air medical staging facility. As people were coming from the battlefield, we were positioned on a flight line, and we waited with the patient until an airplane arrived, and then they moved to the next echelon of care. So sometimes we can have those patients as short as moments or as long as 3 days. This hospital, we kept people and we provided a different and a higher level of care. So we remained with them out in the field as long as it was required. This here is our triage area. Right now, as you can see, these are mannequins, but it's just like when you go into the simulation lab. If you haven't been, you would go shortly. It is fast paced, it's chaos. It feels very, very real. Even though there's a plastic mannequin on that cart, there's a lot of people screaming at you saying, these are the things you need to do. And there's an expectation for you to execute. Their medical records are on their chest, and sometimes they're also attached to their buttons on their uniforms. I was excited because there were operating rooms out in the field. The hard part was I was not assigned as an operating room nurse in the Navy. So even though I was the manpower officer and I was the guy plugging people into different spots, I wasn't allowed to apply myself into this area. So with that being said, first we had to build it, which is in the top, which is a box, they call it Connex. Then we had to put all the equipment in. And then this here is an example how we were providing operating room care in the middle of the field. This here is some of the education that we provided. We had some of the best teachers from across the country. They came and they taught assessment. They taught how to do basic blood pressure. I don't know if you guys even know what this thing is because we use so much technology in the hospital, but we're still using cuffs and and stethoscopes. Here we have someone bagging a person, and up at the top, they're learning how to intubate out in the field. This here was our support services. That's blood bank. Down below is our sterilization process. And up at the top is where we had x-ray. And as I mentioned to you before, we were out in the field every summer, and then the summer after that, and the summer after that. And here you see a person placing a Foley catheter. You see the right hand in the air, that is the clean hand. So everything else is dirty. So even in the middle of the field, we're still practicing those core things that we're teaching you guys here every single day. This guy, you probably know, he learned how to grow a mustache and a beard. But as much as we hate to wear the mask that we're wearing today, there's no more excitement to wear a gas mask in the middle of the field in June in California when it's in excess 100 degrees. And we sat in class, and we sat in class, and we sat in class, and we had 9 seconds to learn how to put that device on our face to make sure that we stayed safe. From there, if we got lucky, we then put on our MOPP gear, M-O-P-P, and depending on the level of threat, we either added it all or just added it some. There's even those little booties that I had into place. And then lastly, because I'm smiling, I don't remember if I was going into the gas chamber or out of the gas chamber, but I had my turn. And the thing that was interesting about my Navy training is that we trained maybe once or twice a year. When I was in the Air Force, we trained 4 to 5 times a year. So when you think about the CPR that you have to do every other year, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to do it again. There's some people doing things 4 or 5 times a year because we need to get it right every single time. One of the last couple of slides I just wanted to show you is this is our support team. And if you've ever walked down the hall with me, you see and you know that I say hello and thank you to every single person, because these are the people who fed us. These are the people who kept everything clean. And when you're thinking about that EVS person on the unit or that dietary person that's bringing a tray to your patient, these are the people who are making it happen for you. Enough that I put them in my slide presentation to let you know how important they were to me out in the field and how important they are to you in the hospital. So make sure that you say thank you to your teammates because they're there to support you and your patients. And then lastly, again, I don't know, they usually say that the exercise plan isn't usually done until the very last moment. So this is probably me smiling saying, oh my gosh, it's over. Somebody said, dude, you're always taking the pictures. You're not in any pictures, which is true. So this is me toward the end of that particular exercise. We're usually out in the field for 17 days, again, for over 1,500 people. So you can imagine how many different evolutions we had for 17 days and how much excitement I had planning that for months. And then lastly, this is me participating in a retirement ceremony. We get a chance to get all gussied up and put on our dress blues. They call it dress blues, but it's completely dark black. But it's all based on the stripes on your sleeve, and my rank right there is Lieutenant Commander, and a bunch of medals and things like that. And I was standing amongst my friends as we were celebrating the retirement of one of our senior leaders. Very last photo is a picture of an admiral, which is rare. So I wanted to take a picture with someone that had a star on their sleeve, but it was pretty cool because he was a really nice guy. He took myself and another junior officer and was willing to take a picture with us. So again, it's the senior leaders that are also taking care of their people, which is something you'll be responsible for doing as a clinical nurse leader. Again, I'll say it 1,000 times, always make sure you're taking care of your people. So I just want to say thank you guys for your attention and allow me to share a little bit of part of the guy that's chasing you for HESI and all the other things that I chase you with. But this has been a tremendous part of my life, which made me the person that I am today. So thank you guys for your attention. We were a little short-staffed, so I'm going to continue. Surprise! Oh, please.
I have to say that, yes, you are taking on multiple roles. And as the master of ceremony, you did introduce yourself. Thank you. But, you know, everything happens for a reason. And we had our speaker who unfortunately became ill. But how fitting of a person to step in. Thank you so much for stepping in. We have Veterans Day on Friday. Thank you for your service. It was beautiful to get to know you in this way. And, you know, everything does happen for a reason. And I really think that it was a blessing for everyone to get to see and know you on this level. Thank you.
Thank you. Take your vitamins. Okay. So we're going to continue to move down the program. And this is the part you guys have been waiting for. So from the first clinical day as a student, you represent a profession of nursing. Each time you engage a patient or a family member, you're seen as a nurse, even though you're still early in your nursing program. It is important that you remember that you display the behaviors of the profession, such as knowledge, respect, interdisciplinary teamwork. You have a knowledge base that supports the care you deliver to your patients. Your demeanor of respect for all persons, regardless of any racial, ethnic, or religious differences, are important. You are actively engaged in interdisciplinary conversations about your patients, and your confident presents the knowledge that you have about your patients. You should ground your practice in the nurse code of ethics. With this, it is our pleasure to welcome you into the profession of nursing by giving you a pin that shows you are part of the Rush Nursing family, and that we want you to remember this day and your responsibilities as a Rush Nursing student. Our pinner today has been specifically selected by you to welcome you to the profession. We do have Dr. Ramona Hunter with us. Dr. Judy Fry in the red. Professor Colleen Hayes. And you guys are also kind enough to select me, so I will join you guys shortly over there. We're short-staffed. So from this moment forward, we're going to follow our guides to allow you to receive your pins. And after your pins, we're going to invite you to recite the oath that's going to be led by one of your classmates that you also selected during this process. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to our guides.
All right, I'm going to call your name and then you can head on up. Aza Akramawi, Brittany Anderson, Sulema Atempe, Natalia Baruta. Too fast. There we go.
Could probably have one being pinned
Okay.
and one standing waiting at all times.
Knew I wasn't gonna get that pace. Doran Berry. Okay. Luanda Billups. Mia Blankenstop. Ismail Byers. Noah Carson Nelson. Madison Catarello. Sukmani Chima. Sarah Clark. Catherine Cochumeglio. Jose Alberto Coronado Soluski. Kaylee Craig. Genevieve Curry. Dominique Davis. Yulia Drab. Ashley Duchesne. Francelia Espinoza. Jose Espinoza Johnson. Allison Foth. Clarissa Fennessy. Trisha Francis. Aaron Godecki. Ediberto Gonzalez. Melissa Gonzalez. Leticia Greo. Avery Hansen. Angela He. Yipping Hung. Juan Hernandez. Leah Henniges. Bryce Holock. Anna Huber. Deshaun Jones. Pooja Drew Conti. Joshua Kennebrew. Christina Korn. Bridget Killian. Alexandra Koziel. Stephanie Kuwarnu. Catherine Lee. Olivia Lewis. Miguel Luna. Lanan May. Lindsay Malkin. Kiani Martian. John Marchioni. Tajin Mattis. Paige Miller. Faria Moisey. Vanna Morales. Christian Moran. Derek Moy. Laura Nag. Katerina Newman. Vivian Nguyen. London Opilio. Karina Ornelas. Glynis Padilla. Melinda Pejor. Allison Papish. Anjani Patel. Morgan Paul. Lee Peterson. Alexander Poberskin. Annalise Potter. Gabriela Ramirez. Gabriela Rios. Rebecca Rodenkirk. Jaylee Rosenbaum. Sarah Ryan Boydie. Nicole Safran. Sehinab Salu. Doreen Richelli Sampure. Erica Sanchez. Deja Sarton. Kelly Shaner. Raina Siegel. Carolyn Snell. Elena Solberg. Jennifer Soria. Dana Stevens. Adam Sterling. Alam Sayud. Eugen Talty. Michael Tolley. Vincenzo Traversa. Mariella Van Yee. Riley Byers. Lauren Wayne. Jeremy Wieland. Emily Williams. Drew Wright. Erishay Yarborough Harris, Theresa Young, and Sophie Zanoni.
So let's see where I'm at. So now that you guys have your pens, the most important part is the oath. I'm going to invite your classmate, Ms. Stephanie, forward for me.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. How you guys doing? I will be your representative to represent all of us. I'm going to read the dedication to our nursing profession. So here it goes. Oh, everyone's done. In the presence of my faculty and fellow students, and with full knowledge of the obligations I undertake this day, I solemnly pledge myself to the rigorous study of the art and science of nursing. I promise to conduct my academic and professional life with integrity and honor. I will provide the very best care to all who are committed to my charge, and I will uphold the dignity and the worth of everyone with whom I come into contact. So we will start with the oath. I will say, and you repeat after me. I will continually seek out knowledge and improve myself throughout my career as a professional nurse, and I will listen to and learn from those with greater wisdom and experience. Guys, we made it.
It only feels like graduation, but we only have like 2 more years to go. Please go ahead, have a seat, make yourselves comfortable. So, before we conclude today, we'd like to remind you of the Rush Eye Care values. This is a good way to sum up for what was been said today. Innovation, be innovators in care. Collaboration, collaborate with the healthcare team to provide patient-centered care and improve the health and safety of our patients. Accountability, always be accountable for your actions and for further your knowledge. Respect, show respect for everyone at all times. Excellence, always strive for excellence, not only in your education, but also in your practice. These are our expectations of ourselves as nurses at Rush, and now they are our expectations of you as you enter the incredible journey of nursing. Welcome to the profession. Thank you, faculty, friends, and family that were able to join us today. Have a great day. Can I take a picture?
He's a
before you guys go?
photographer too.
No. I got the right toys. Just in case my day job falls through. You know there's a staffing shortage. All right, guys, this concludes our ceremony for today. Please enjoy yourselves and one another, and let's wave to our family and friends that joined us online. That was a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna get up and start blubbering all over you, and I said, I'll wait for convocation. Talk about helping and saying hi and